More and more adults are getting diagnosed with ADHD, and it's reshaping how we think about learning at every age.
Neurodiverse learners don't need separate pathways. They need an education system that welcomes and works for everyone from the start.
That's Dr. Sarah Ann Tompkins, Associate Dean at Colorado State University. ADHD isn't a limitation, it's a different way of thinking. Watch our social media series on getting diagnosed with ADHD and autism on our Instagram and YouTube channels.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector, Idaho's daily news. Good morning, I'm James Dawson. It's Wednesday, May 28th, and here are today's headlines. Former Idaho Attorney General Tony Park has died at the age of 90, according to the Idaho Press. Park, who was a Democrat, served one term under Governor Cecil Andrus from 1971 to 1975. He unsuccessfully ran for the U.S. Senate in 1972, losing in the primary. Park founded the Consumer Protection and Environmental Protection Divisions during his single term in office. The Idaho Press reports Park later worked in private practice, headed the ACLU of Idaho, and the Frank and Bethune Church Institute at Boise State. The first major rewrite in more than 2 decades of Ada County's Planning and Zoning Code is nearly complete. Last week, County Planning and Zoning Commissioners added multiple new stipulations around commercial solar power developments. Troy Oppie has more.
The commissioners added language to the new code that, quote, strongly discourages solar projects on farmland of state or local importance or prime farmland.
We want to preserve and conserve that farmland, but it is not absolute.
That's Planning and Zoning Commissioner James Birch, who wanted to fully ban solar development from most farmland, but settled for the strong discouragement. Planning and Zoning Commission Chair Chad Scott says the public should be able to weigh in. Last year, East Ada County residents successfully lobbied to stop a potential solar project.
I think Powers Butte was an example of the system working. That's a prime example why this process is good and important, that the people can come and voice their opinion.
P&Z commissioners also made sure commercial solar projects specifically will go through a separate approval by the elected Board of County Commissioners. And they added a requirement for solar companies to bond their projects, a financial guarantee covering the cost of decommission and cleanup. Those stipulations were among several approved amendments to the proposed code update, which Planning and Zoning tabled until June 12th for final approval. The code update will then go to the County Commission for review. Troy Oppie, Boise State Public Radio News.
Federal Forest Service officials closed the Sawtooth National Recreation Area offices just before Memorial Day's unofficial start to the summer due to staffing changes. A press release posted by the agency on Friday said the SNRA offices in Ketchum and Stanley will reopen for 3 days each week beginning June 16th through Labor Day. Acting Forest Supervisor Sean Robnett said in a statement that the changes ensure rangers will still be out in the field. The Mountain Express reported in February the Trump administration fired more than 30 Sawtooth National Forest employees as part of a national workforce purge. A federal board later ordered workers be reinstated. Snowpack is melting rapidly and setting records. As Hannah Merzbach reports, an earlier-than-normal thaw hit the Rockies.
Earlier this year, mountains in northern Colorado had a lot of snow, even above average at some ski resorts. Then in April, a spring heat wave hit, bringing high temps and clear skies.
We haven't seen that much snow melt at a lot of these locations. So it was more than just a minor anomaly.
Dan McAvoy with the Western Regional Climate Center says that snow melted up to 3 weeks earlier than normal. He says this kind of rapid melting is expected in the warmer, drier Southwest states like Nevada and New Mexico. But this spring, almost every major mountain range in the region saw a big melt, including ones in Wyoming, Montana, and northern Idaho and Utah.
You're losing that moisture to the atmosphere instead of going into the streams or reservoirs.
This could put more strain on water supplies in the Colorado River Basin and increase the risk of wildfires in the weeks ahead because of drier soils and vegetation. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Hannah Merzbach.
A group of native tribes want the U.S. government to explain how it historically funded boarding schools for indigenous children. As Jimmy Romo reports for the Mountain West News Bureau, the tribes recently filed a lawsuit aiming to force the country to reckon with the past.
The Wichita and affiliated tribes of Oklahoma, along with the Washoe tribe of Nevada and California, filed a lawsuit in Pennsylvania Federal District Court. It seeks to hold U.S. agencies responsible for the Indian boarding school system. Native children suffered horrific abuse and neglect in these schools, and many never made it home. According to the complaint, boarding school operations were funded by Native Nations trust funds. Those funds contained proceeds from the sale of tribal land that the U.S. government forced tribes to sign away. The trust, plaintiffs say, was meant for the collective benefit of Native nations. It is estimated that the government used $23 billion in today's money to run the boarding schools. The tribes are asking the courts to force the U.S. to give a breakdown of how the funds were used. The U.S. government has yet to respond to the complaint. Jimmy Romo, KNPR News.
And that's today's episode of The Connector. I'm James Dawson, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. To stay in touch with the news between now and then, check out BoiseStatePublicRadio.org or download the free Boise State Public Radio app. Thanks for listening.